The sun was sinking over the Grand Dantokpa market, drowning the stalls in an orange, dusty glow. The saturated air vibrated with 1,000 voices, the wax fabric sellers shouting their prices, the grilled fish vendors praising their smoking atassi, and everywhere, the compact crowd jostling between mountains of merchandise. Spicy aromas mingled with the acrid smell of sweat and trampled red earth. In this colorful chaos, where multicolored wraps danced like flames, a bent old man painfully pulled his creaking cart filled with empty bottles. Iodel moved slowly, his left leg dragging behind him. At 65, each step was a victory against pain. His calloused hands gripped the worn wooden handles, his tired eyes fixed on the uneven ground. He didn't see the black Mercedes S-Class entering the narrow alley, honking impatiently to scatter pedestrians. The impact was brutal. The wheel of the cart struck the gleaming front fender of the luxury vehicle. The metallic sound tore through the market atmosphere. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. The door opened violently. Chukwudi Okonkwo emerged from the vehicle, imposing in his charcoal-grey three-piece suit that clashed with the ambient dust. His Italian shoes shone like mirrors. His face, carved from the granite of arrogance, twisted with fury. "You worthless trash," his voice thundered, making onlookers step back. "You dare touch my car? Look what you've done." Iodel trembled, hands raised in apology. "Forgive me, sir. I didn't see. Forgive me." "Forgive?" Chukwudi spat the word like poison. "You think your apologies will fix this scratch? Parasites like you pollute this city." He raised his gold-handled cane, ready to strike the old man cowering before him. The crowd held its breath, petrified. No one dared defy one of Cotonou's most powerful men, but a slender figure burst from the crowd. "Stop!" Zuri planted herself between Chukwudi and Iodele, chin raised, eyes blazing with defiance. Her clothes were worn, patched, but she stood straight as a queen. At 19, she had learned that dignity wasn't worn in fabrics, but carried in the heart. "You can hit me too," she said in a clear voice that didn't tremble, "but you won't touch my father." Chukwudi's arm remained suspended in the air. Something in that face had nailed him in place. The almond-shaped hazel eyes, the delicate oval face, the curve of the forehead. A ghost surged from the depths of his memory, so violent it took his breath away. Those features, he knew them, but it was impossible. "You," he began, voice strangled. "Who are you?" "Nobody who matters to you," Zuri replied with icy calm. "Just another poor girl you can crush. But my father deserves the respect you don't give him." Chukwudi felt vertigo seize him. The resemblance was troubling, unbearable. He slowly lowered his cane, conscious of dozens of eyes riveted on him. Without another word, he turned on his heels and climbed back into his Mercedes. The driver started quickly, leaving a cloud of dust behind them. The crowd exploded in murmurs. Zuri bent toward Iodele, helping him up with infinite tenderness. "Are you okay, Papa? He didn't touch you?" The old man nodded, tears in his eyes. "My daughter, you're too brave. One day, this courage will destroy you, or it will save us," she replied softly. They gathered the scattered bottles and slowly took the path toward their shelter under the Godomi Bridge. Around them, market life resumed, indifferent to their existence. Two shadows among thousands, invisible to the eyes of those who mattered. But that night, in his villa with immaculate white walls overlooking Cotonou Bay, Chukwudi Okonkwo couldn't find sleep. Lying in his king-size bed, he stared at the ceiling, haunted by a face that awakened memories he had buried for 20 years. Memories of a gentle woman with hazel eyes, of a forbidden love, of a choice he had made that had gnawed at him every day since. He got up, went down to his office and picked up his phone. "Olumide," he said to his assistant, voice hoarse. "I have urgent work for you. That girl at the market today. I want to know everything about her. Her name, her story, where she comes from, everything, and I want it tomorrow morning." After hanging up, Chukwudi remained motionless before the bay window, contemplating the city lights that sparkled like earthbound stars. Somewhere out there, in the darkness, A truth he dreaded awaited him, and he knew deep in his being that nothing would ever be the same again. Dawn was barely breaking over the Cotonou bridge when Zuri opened her eyes. Around her, under the massive grayish concrete arch, a dozen makeshift shelters clung to existence like fragile nests. Plastic tarps stretched over bamboo frames, flattened cardboard serving as mattresses, a few dented pots carefully stacked. It was here, in this kingdom of oblivion, that Cotonou's invisible community lived. Folasade, already up, was blowing on the coals of her improvised little stove. At 22, she rose every morning at 4 to prepare her fritters that she would sell by the roadside. Her laughter resonated despite the fatigue, like an act of resistance against misery. "Zuri, come share breakfast before Baba Tunde devours everything." The carpenter, a colossus with a face scarified according to his native village traditions, smiled, showing his splinter-filled hands. "I must eat to have strength to work, little sister. My muscles don't feed on air." They shared the meager meal, a few fritters, sweet tea in chipped cups. It was their sacred ritual, this moment when hunger was less strong than solidarity. Iodel sat near the fire, his gaze lost in the flames. Zuri noticed the sadness veiling his eyes. "Papa, what's troubling you?" The old man sighed deeply. "Yesterday, when you threw yourself in front of that man, you looked so much like your mother. Neka had that same insane courage." Zuri moved closer. Iodel rarely spoke of her mother. "She worked in the big houses of Jonquet, you know," he continued, voice broken by emotion. "Those white villas where the rich live. She cleaned their marble floors, washed their luxury linens, served at their sumptuous tables. But she never bowed her head. Never." Mama Adjoa, the old healer with braided white hair, approached limping. Her piercing eyes shone with ancient wisdom. "Neka was special," she murmured in a gravelly voice. "She knew secrets, dangerous secrets that cost the lives of those who carry them." "What secrets?" asked Zuri, heart pounding. But Mama Adjoa shook her head. "The standing tree doesn't see the axe," she said in Fon. She tenderly touched Zuri's cheek. "But you, little one, you look too much like someone, and this resemblance will put you in danger." Before Zuri could respond, Mama Adjoa disappeared into the shadow of her shelter. 15 kilometers away, in the Jonquet district, Chukwudi Okonkwo's villa bathed in air-conditioned luxury. Adaieze, his wife, sipped her Earl Grey tea on the terrace overlooking the infinity pool. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped impatiently on the glass table. "You've been distracted since yesterday," she said to her husband, who was staring at his phone. "Is the Akpakpa project worrying you?" "Everything's under control," Chukwudi replied coldly. "The eviction notices will be distributed today. In a month, these parasites will have disappeared, and we can begin construction." Their children, Emeka and Chidinma, argued about who would take the new car their father had just bought. Their spoiled voices echoed in the impeccably maintained garden. Adiz smiled. 200 families displaced for our residential complex. The luxury apartments will sell for a fortune. 300, corrected Chukwudi. And they're not families. They're obstacles. That same afternoon, 3 black SUVs stopped under the Cotonou bridge. Men in cheap suits descended, brandishing manila envelopes. Their chief, a massive man with a cruel gaze, barked, "Eviction order! 30 days to clear out!" Cries of despair rose, like a collective lament. An old woman collapsed in tears, clutching a sleeping baby against her. Babatunde clenched his fists, but Folasade held him back. Confronting these men meant death. Zuri snatched the envelope from one of the thugs' hands. She read the official document, stamped, signed, implacable. 30 days. Then what? The complete street? Slow death under the sun? Her hands trembled, but it wasn't from fear. It was from rage. "They can't do this," she murmured, teeth clenched. "They can do anything," Iodel replied bitterly. "The rich make the laws, the poor suffer them." But in Zuri's eyes now burned a new flame, a fierce determination. She wouldn't let these predators destroy the only family she had. At the same moment, in his panoramic office dominating Cotonou, Chukwudi opened the file that Olumide had just deposited on his massive mahogany table. His fingers ran over the first pages. Surveillance photos, collected information, gathered testimonies. Then he saw the 3 words written at the top of the report. 3 words that exploded his world. Daughter of Nneka Adeyemi. The luxury pen slipped from his hands and rolled on the marble floor. His heart pounded so hard he heard nothing else. Nneka's face, buried for so many years, resurfaced with unbearable violence. And this girl at the market, no, it was impossible. His trembling hands turned the next page, and what he read made him stagger. Chukwudi reread Olumide's report 3 times, as if the words would change by being stared at. But they remained there, implacable, black on white. Zuri, age 19 years, orphan for 7 years. Mother, Nneka Adeyemi, deceased in suspicious circumstances on March 12, 2018. Fatal fall down the stairs of the Okonkwo residence where she worked as a domestic employee. Police investigation closed without follow-up. Father, unknown, not declared on the birth certificate. Important note, Nneka Adeyemi worked for the Okonkwo family from 2003 to 2018. Trusted employee, discreet, appreciated by the late mother of Mr. Chukwudi Okonkwo. Chukwudi's hands trembled. Nneka, this name he hadn't spoken in 20 years, exploded in his chest like a grenade of emotions. He closed his eyes, and the past flooded in. Garden of the family property, 2005. The tropical night rustled with crickets. Under the flowering frangipani, 2 silhouettes embraced in the shadow. You must leave, Chukwudi, Nneka murmured, tears rolling down her cheeks. Your family will never accept a housekeeper. I don't care what they think. I love you. Love doesn't pay debts. She placed her hand on his cheek. Your father said if you don't marry Ades, the company will go bankrupt. 100 employees will lose their jobs. Your family will lose everything. Nneka, marry her. Save your people. Her smile was broken. But never forget that somewhere, under this same sky, I will love you until my last breath. He had kissed her one last time, tasting the salt of their mingled tears. Then she had left, disappearing into the night. He had let her go. He had chosen duty. He had married Adaeze 3 months later, and he had spent every day since regretting that choice. Chukwudi reopened his eyes, face wet. He hadn't cried since his mother's funeral, but this memory tore him apart with unbearable violence. Nneka had stayed in the house. She had continued working, silent, invisible, sometimes crossing his gaze in the hallways. They had never spoken to each other again. And then, 7 years ago, she had died. An accident, the police had said. He hadn't even attended the funeral, held back by a business trip that Adaeze had insisted he take. He stood abruptly, walked toward the library, pushed aside the law books he had never read. Behind them, embedded in the wall, a small safe. He entered the code that no one knew. Inside, ancient documents, yellowed photos, and an envelope. An envelope he had found 7 years earlier in the mail, addressed to his name, with Nneka's round handwriting. An envelope he had never had the courage to open, because he knew it contained truths he dreaded. His fingers trembled as he tore the aged paper. My dear Chukwudi, if you're reading these words, it's because something has happened to me. I'm writing just in case, because you must know, 19 years ago our love gave birth to a daughter, Zuri. I never told you because I didn't want to destroy your life, your marriage, your family. I raised our child alone, in silence and dignity. She has your eyes, your intelligence, your pride. She's beautiful, brave, stubborn like you. She knows nothing about you. She believes her father abandoned her before her birth. I'm not asking anything of you. I've never asked anything. But if one day you cross her path, know that she carries your blood. She's the best part of both of us. I loved you. I will always love you. Nneka. The letter slipped from Chukwudi's hands. He collapsed into his leather chair, face buried in his palms. Dry, hoarse sobs rose from his chest. 19 years. He had a 19-year-old daughter, and she lived on the street. His own flesh and blood slept under a bridge, collected garbage to survive, and he had threatened her. He, her father, had raised his hand against her. The next day, disguised as a simple businessman in discreet clothes, Chukwudi went to the Grand Dantokpa market. He searched for her in the crowd, heart pounding like never before. He saw her near a vegetable stall. An old woman was arguing with a merchant, trying to make her pay double the price. Zuri intervened, firm but respectful, forcing the merchant to lower his price. The old woman blessed her in Fon, tears in her eyes. Further on, Zuri crouched before a child in rags, crying from hunger. She took a piece of bread from her bag and gave it to him, smiling tenderly while wiping his tears. Then she rejoined Folasade, and they laughed together, a luminous laugh that defied misery. Chukwudi observed, frozen, overwhelmed. This grace, this goodness, this strength. It was Neka, it was him. It was something greater than both of them. For the first time in decades, he felt something authentic. Pride, admiration, love. His eyes moistened. My daughter. But what he didn't see was the black Mercedes parked in the shadow on the other side of the square. Adais lowered her sunglasses, face twisted with jealousy. She had had her husband followed, and now she understood. She took out her phone, dialed a number. "I have a problem to solve," she murmured coldly, discreetly. "A girl. I'll send you her photo. I want her to disappear." She hung up, smile wicked. No one would steal her empire. The silence in the conjugal bedroom was glacial. Adaizi stood before the window, back turned to Chukwudi, her shoulders stiff with contained anger. "Who is she?" Chukwudi looked up from his computer, feigning incomprehension. "Who are you talking about?" She spun around, brandishing her phone. On the screen, a photo of him at the market, watching Zuri. "This girl. You're watching her. You're investigating her. Who is she?" "A former employee had a daughter. Simple charity." "Lies!" The phone flew across the room, smashing against the wall. "You think I'm stupid? I see how you look at her in these photos. Adais, you're being ridiculous." "Ridiculous?" Her laugh was venomous. "I sacrificed everything for you. My name, my fortune, my family, and you cheat on me with a nobody? It's not about that." "Then what?" She approached, eyes shining with rage. "Tell me the truth or I'll destroy you. I own half this company. I can ruin you with a snap of my fingers." Chukwudi stood, dominating her with his stature. "You'll do nothing. You have too much to lose." Adais smiled, a terrifying smile. "You underestimate me, my dear. That's a mistake you'll regret." She left the room, slamming the door. In the hallway, she dialed a number, whispering, "Double the surveillance. I want to know every movement of this girl, and find me something to destroy her." Under the Godome bridge, Ayodele coughed violently. Blood stained his handkerchief. Zuri rushed toward him, panicked. "Papa, I'm taking you to the hospital." "No!" His trembling hand seized her wrist. "No time. I must tell you." "Tell me what?" "Papa, breathe." Ayodele forced her to sit near him, his glassy eyes fixed on her with desperate intensity. "Your mother, Neka, she didn't die in an accident." Zuri's world tilted. "What?" "I was there. That night." His voice was only a hoarse whisper. "I was the night guard in the Okonkwo villa. I saw everything." Tears began flowing down Zuri's cheeks. "What did you see, Papa?" "The woman, Adaize Okonkwo. She came to your mother's room. I was in the hallway. I saw her bring a cup of tea. She was smiling, a cruel smile." He coughed, spat blood. "Your mother. She had said she was going to reveal a secret about you, about your father." "My father?" Zuri trembled all over. "Who is my father?" "I don't know his name, but he was someone powerful in that house." Ayodele squeezed her hand with what strength remained. "The next morning your mother was dead. They said she fell down the stairs. But I knew. The tea was poisoned." "Why didn't you say? Why didn't you go to the police?" "I did." His eyes closed in pain. "They laughed in my face. Then 2 days later I was accused of theft, fired, defamed. No one wanted to hire me anymore. That's how I ended up here." Zuri sobbed now, rage and pain exploding in her chest. "They killed my mother, and they destroyed you." promise me. Iodel opened his eyes one last time. Promise me to get justice for Neka, for all of us. I swear it, Papa. On her memory, I swear it. The next day, Zuri gathered Folasade and Babatunde in their shelter. Her eyes were red, but her gaze blazed with determination. They murdered my mother. They want to expel us. They think we're nothing. Her voice was a low rumble. It's time to show them they're wrong. Folasade took her hand. What do you want to do? Expose their crimes, before everyone, before those who matter. Babatunde frowned. How? Nobody listens to us. In 3 days, Chukwudi Okonkwo is organizing a charity reception in his villa. Ministers, diplomats, journalists, all of Cotonou's elite. Zuri pulled out a flyer she had torn from a wall. I'm going to infiltrate it. You're crazy, exclaimed Folasade. They'll throw you out. Not if I look like one of them. Zuri smiled bitterly. I need a dress, a fake invitation, and your help. Babatunde slowly nodded. My cousin works in the print shop. He can make the invitation. Folasade hugged Zuri. And my aunt sells second-hand clothes. She'll find something elegant. Thank you. Zuri looked at them both, these brothers and sisters that the street had given her. If I don't come back, you'll come back, cut Babatunde firmly, because you're the bravest among us, and because justice must triumph. 3 days passed in unbearable tension. Folasade alerted Zuri. Men were prowling around the bridge, asking questions, threatening. Adais was tightening her grip. They're going to attack us before the legal date, murmured Folasade, terrified. I heard one of them say they had to clean the sector this week. Time was running out. Zuri had to act now. The night of the reception arrived. Dressed in a borrowed blue and gold wax wrap, her hair carefully braided, Zuri looked at herself in the broken mirror piece that served as their glass. She didn't recognize herself. Babatunde handed her the fake invitation, perfectly imitated. May the ancestors protect you, little sister. Folasade kissed her forehead. Make them pay. For your mother, for all of us. Zuri took a deep breath and left the bridge. A motorcycle taxi took her toward the Jonquet district. The lights of the Okonkwo villa shone in the night like a fairy tale palace. She crossed the gates, heart pounding wildly. Dozens of elegant guests chatted, champagne in hand. Soft music, polite laughter, sickening luxury. She didn't know that in a few minutes everything would shift. For her, for Chukwudi, and for all those who believed themselves untouchable. The crystal chandeliers diffused golden light on the immaculate marble. Zuri advanced slowly in the villa, each step resonating in a world that wasn't hers. Around her, Cotonou's elite moved with that ease only money provides. Evening gowns worth several million CFA francs, jewelry worth more than a lifetime on the street, polite laughter hiding voracious ambitions. The Minister of Urban Planning toasted with the French ambassador. Businessmen discussed lucrative contracts. Women compared their latest Paris purchases. The contrast with her existence under the bridge made her want to vomit. On the platform erected in the Grand Salon, Chukwudi Okonkwo stood before a microphone, impeccable in his tailored suit. His voice resonated, warm, convincing. And that's why I've decided to create this development fund for disadvantaged neighborhoods. Because I deeply believe we have a responsibility toward those who have less than us. Polite applause, approving nods. Pure hypocrisy. Zuri clenched her fists. Her breathing accelerated. It was now or never. She cut through the crowd, climbed the platform steps before anyone could react. Chukwudi stopped, stupefied. Silence fell. Ladies and gentlemen, Zuri launched in a clear voice that carried throughout the salon, allow me to present the true face of your generous philanthropist. A shocked murmur ran through the assembly. The guards began moving, but Chukwudi raised his hand to stop them, hypnotized by this apparition. This man, continued Zuri, pointing to Chukwudi, is right now expelling 300 families from their shelters to build his luxury complex. 300 families thrown onto the street, children, elderly people. This is absurd, exclaimed Adeze from the crowd, face white. Get her out! But Zuri wouldn't be intimidated. My mother, Nneka Adeyemi, worked 15 years for this family. And when she threatened to reveal their secrets, she was murdered, poisoned in this very house 7 years ago. The shock electrified the room. Phones rose. Journalists took notes frantically. Adaizi staggered. "Lies!" she screamed. "This mad woman lies!" Zuri turned to her, eyes blazing. "You brought her poisoned tea. The guards saw you, and you destroyed him afterward for his silence." "Enough!" Adai signaled to the guards. "Arrest her! Throw her out!" But as the guards approached, Chukwudi descended from the platform and placed himself between them and Zuri. "No!" The word fell like a cleaver. Everyone froze. "Mr. Okonkwo?" stammered a guard. Chukwudi turned to the assembly. His face was grey, his hands trembled, but his voice was firm. "This young woman is right. She speaks the truth." He took a deep breath. "And she has the right to speak, because she is..." His voice broke. "Because she is my daughter." The silence was deafening, then the explosion. Screams, incredulous exclamations, camera flashes. Adaiz let out an animal howl and collapsed. Emeka and Chidinma, petrified, looked at their father as if he had gone mad. "You... what?" Adaiz articulated from the floor. "I had a daughter with Nneka Adeyemi 20 years ago," said Chukwudi publicly, voice broken. "A daughter I never knew. A daughter who lived in misery while I built my empire on lies." Tears now flowed down his face. Zuri stared at him, incredulous, torn between rage and something else she didn't yet understand. An hour later, the villa garden bathed in nocturnal silence. The guests had left, horrified or scandalized. Adiezi had left the house screaming that she would destroy him. Zuri stood near the fountain, watching the water flow. Chukwudi approached slowly, hesitating. "I'm not asking you to forgive me." She didn't turn around. "Good, because I don't know if I can. I understand." He sat on the fountain's edge, breaking all the rules of his impeccable suit. "But let me at least know you. Repair what I destroyed. You can't bring my mother back." Zuri's voice trembled. "You can't erase our years of suffering, the nights of hunger, the freezing winters, the shame. No, I can't." His tears shone in the half-light. "But I can choose who I want to be from now on." She finally turned to him. In her eyes, he saw Nneka. He saw himself, and something new, stronger. "Prove it." Her voice was only a whisper. "Show me you're not just a coward who abandoned those he loved." Chukwudi extended his hand, trembling, terrified of this simple gesture. Zuri looked at this hand for an eternity. Then, slowly, she placed hers in it. Their fingers closed, father and daughter finally reunited in the pain and fragile hope of a better future. "I'll cancel the evictions," he said softly. "I'll create a foundation in your mother's name. I'll do everything in my power to redeem my mistakes. And your wife, your children. Adai's left me tonight. She threatens to ruin me legally." He smiled bitterly. "I'll probably lose half my fortune, but it's the price to pay." A few kilometers away, Adai's climbed into her car, face twisted with cold rage. She dialed a number, voice hissing. "She'll take everything I built, so I'm going to take what she loves most." She hung up, eyes shining with malevolence. In the shadow of the Godome Bridge, Ayodele returned alone to his shelter, coughing in the cool night. He didn't see the two silhouettes following him. 6 months had elapsed since that night that changed everything. Morning sun flooded the office of the Nneka Adeyemi Foundation, installed in a renovated building in the Akpakpa district. Zuri, dressed in a simple but elegant suit, studied the architectural plans spread before her. Her courses at the University of Cotonou had opened a new world for her, but she had never forgotten where she came from. Through the window, she saw the new community center taking shape. A modern building in bright colors, designed to house a daycare, a library, training workshops. Where eviction threats once stood, hope now rose. In the garden, Ayodele sat in the shade of a baobab. The old man had regained his dignity. Settled in a comfortable apartment, he had become the spiritual guardian of the center, transmitting his wisdom to the young. The Cotonou Court of Justice was packed. Zuri and Chukwudi awaited the verdict. On the defendant's bench, Adaeze sat upright, face frozen. The judge adjusted his glasses. After examining the evidence, notably the audio recording provided by witness Ayodele Mensah, this court finds the defendant guilty of premeditated murder of Nneka Adeyemi. The gavel fell. 25 years criminal imprisonment and seizure of all her assets. Adaeze collapsed screaming. Zuri closed her eyes, letting a silent tear fall. Finally, justice was served. Chukwudi gently placed his hand on her shoulder. Your mother can rest in peace now. Chukwudi's transformation had been spectacular. He had restructured his company, abandoning evictions to build social housing. Each week he visited Ayodele, seeking to understand what it truly meant to live with dignity. His relationship with Zuri remained complex, woven of fragile threads. But each conversation, each shared project wove a new bond, built on respect and the will to repair the past. Folasade had opened her clothing boutique thanks to a microloan from the foundation. Babatunde built the furniture for the center. The community was reborn. The day of the inauguration arrived under an azure sky. Hundreds of people had gathered. Zuri climbed on the platform, dressed in her mother's traditional blue and gold wrap. My mother taught me that wealth isn't measured in banknotes, but in dignity, in courage, and in love. They wanted to make us believe we were nothing because we were poor. She swept her gaze over the crowd. Folasade cried with joy. Babatunde nodded proudly. Ayodele smiled. But today, we prove that true nobility never belonged to those who possess everything, but to those who give everything they have. Applause erupted, mixed with cries of joy and tears. Chukwudi joined her. Together, father and daughter, they walked toward the white marble monument representing a woman standing, a child in her arms. On the engraved plaque shone the words, "The value of a person doesn't reside in what they possess, but in who they are." Zuri placed her hand on the cold stone. "Thank you, Mom, for everything." Chukwudi also placed his hand. "Forgive me, Nneka. I will be the man you deserved." The setting sun bathed the scene in golden light. Around them, the community celebrated. Children ran, elderly people laughed. Hope had replaced despair. That night, before the monument, Zuri and Chukwudi remained in silence. They had traveled a painful path, but they had learned. Because true wealth is never built on the ruins of others, but on the foundations of justice, compassion, and the courage to look our own demons in the face to become better. And in this rediscovered truth, they had finally found peace. This story reminds us that human dignity never depends on our bank account, but on our choices, our courage, and our capacity to rise after each trial. Zuri and Chukwudi proved it's never too late to choose justice over pride, compassion over indifference. Their scars became their strength, and their pain transformed into hope for hundreds of others. What city are you watching this from? Drop a comment below.